So let's talk about the last guy in the conversation here of quarterbacks in the room that we got to talk about here because, listen, he's a fan favorite. There are guys who think he should start. I think they're crazy and should get piss popped at that point and find out what they've been smoked with. But I mean, you could make the case, though. You can make the case that maybe you give him a shot and see what he does in camp. If he looks better than those other two, maybe you do give him the shot. But I just don't think he's a better quarterback than those two. And that's Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito there, the star of the Giants 2023 season there, who like literally just took the internet and social media by storm with the fun outfits of his agent, the whole family going crazy, the big ZD from his mama, the fact that he still lives at home and she made the bed for him and everything. I mean, this is just like quintessential. Like he's like 30 years away from playing in the new version of Everybody Loves Raymond, basically. It's like where I can see that. I guarantee the mother's like that. That's an Italian mama right there. But Drew, I'm sorry, Tommy DeVito is not a legit starter, guys. He's not. I'm sorry. Like I know people want it to be so true; they're willing to grasp at straws to make it so.
It was a nice Cinderella story.
Not there. I guarantee you he'd be exposed. I get it. He looked okay at times.
He got exposed.
And it was exciting. Yeah. I mean, that Packer game especially was exciting. Let's be very frank on that. That was exciting. That was fun. That was probably the second best game to watch as a Giant fan of the season. The best one being we smacked the crap out of the Eagles, of course. Unless you were upset about the draft part. But, there's definitely that part of it. But Tommy on his career on his season here, I should say career, but I guess career as well. 9 games, 6 starts, 64 completion percentage, 1,101 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and an 89.2 quarterback rating. Now, again, I know he's a star because of some of the personality stuff and the funness of it, guys. He's not that good. There's a reason he went undrafted. Now, could he develop into the long-term backup? I think he could. I really do think that should be the goal for him, is try to develop this guy into a guy that you can put in as a cheap backup for years to come. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that trajectory for him whatsoever. There are plenty of guys who make quite the career out of being a backup quarterback. Ask Tyrod Taylor. He's a classic example right there.
Jacoby
Brissett, classic example there. 100%. I mean, that's just the way it is. Every generation has those guys that just are good at doing that, and that's what they do. Ask Blaine Gabbert. He's another guy who's turned into that kind of guy, and they just keep on shaking paycheck after paycheck, making a couple $1 million a year to sit on the bench or stand by the coach with the clipboard. It's not much. It's easy work. He could be on the sidelines going like this and doing his hand motion the whole time.
Turn to the crowd.
Crazy. Yeah. Now, again, there's going to be guys who are going to sit there and say that he should be looked at as a starter, that he's a potential starter. I'll say it this way. To me, if the Giants don't go in with, and I understand not publicly, because publicly you gotta keep toting the line that Daniel Jones is your guy because you've already been doing this for so long now this offseason. But privately, you should be evaluating every quarterback that you have in camp, whether it's Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, or whether some other random person gets signed or whatever.
The guy that brings
you got to evaluate them all,
Coca-Cola.
And whoever looks the best is who should start. If Tommy DeVito looks better than Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, he should start.
Correct. They're not going to hold back. They're not going to be like, hey, that DeVito guy that we picked up undrafted as a free agent that just so happened to have like this Cinderella story the year prior. He looks fantastic this year. Yeah, let's leave him on the practice squad. Tell you, that's not what they're doing.
You could say that, but I think part of the issue people have with the fear of that is because look what happened with Darius Slayton the first year he was there, and they kept riding him at the bench even though he had the best resume of anybody on that roster, minus Sterling Shepard as far as being a wide receiver, and they just refuse to put him in the game, refuse to throw him the ball. So I get some of the apprehension. I really do. And I think there's the concern that people have is that Daniel Jones has this huge contract and Dable and Shane want to prove that he was worth it. They want to give him every shot to prove that. So I get that part of it.
I think coming into the third year, they want to win as many games as they can, because if they don't, then they're looking into
Indeed.
Yeah.
Brushing up on that resume. I mean, again, I think the whole Tommy DeVito thing is the same case of what we're talking about a minute ago with Drew Lock. The most popular guy is the backup quarterback. Tommy DeVito was the backup quarterback that for a couple of games looked good. You know, guys didn't have any film on him. They really didn't know much about him. I was about to
say there's no tape on this guy, how he played or what he could do.
He looked really bad the first couple of games. Remember the first couple of games they put him in? It was like he looked really bad. And then all of a sudden kind of flipped. Like it was not a pretty start, guys. And
he was definitely flustered, but I mean, he won his first 3 games.
Yes. But I'm saying when he got put in the games, not necessarily starts.
Correct. Absolutely starts.
So like the Jets, he was 2 of 7. You know, not a very good start.
Well, Jets
against the Raiders. It is, don't get me wrong, but he threw for -1 yard. 7 pass attempts. I at least expect you to break even. Call me crazy. Goes in to the Raiders game, 15 of 20, good completion percentage, 175 yards. Didn't get the ball downfield. Got sacked 6 times. I mean, it's part of the problem with him too, obviously.
Yeah, that's the offensive line for us.
Then goes to the Cowboys. 14 of 27 for 86 yards. Not good, guys.
Yeah.
That's I want people to remember this version of Tommy DeVito. Wrong DeVito. That's his uncle.
I'm not an animal. I'm a man.
I think they should do a promo spot together. It'd be hilarious. But
Jersey Mike's be fantastic.
People need to remember this version of Tommy DeVito because it's there. It's legit. It's not made up. He goes for 246 yards against the Commanders. The Giants have always owned the Commanders. Every single Giant on this roster, their best game is versus the Commanders.
Our best games have been against the Commanders for the past 10 years. So, yeah.
Yeah. Then he goes to New England, throws for 191 yards. Goes to Green Bay, and Green Bay is where he got all his attention from because they won the game. He was 17 of 21, but guys, he threw for 158 yards in the game.
Which we were used to that with Daniel Jones the year prior. The guy throws for 180 yards, and he wins the game. Okay.
Relay the point because people are acting like this guy is a cannon for arm. He's going to be great. He's going to do all this stuff at that point. And not, I mean, wrong. It's not necessarily a large majority of Giant fans, but there are Giant fans who love him. There really are. And they think that he's being held back. And he is being held back by embarrassing himself. He's not that good, people.
If he was that good, he would have been drafted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only drafted, he would have held down the job, and they wouldn't have put Tyrod Taylor back in.
Correct.
I mean, even that game 15 against the Eagles, where Tyrod went back in.
For the second half, yeah.
He played 9 of 16 for 55 yards. He's just not that good. So I want to be negative about it. I hope he can develop into a decent backup, and that'd be a win for an undrafted rookie free agent that you get coming in that develops into that. That's a win, guys. It's not a bad thing. And as always, Giant fans,
go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.